The USS William D. Porter, or simply Willie D., was a pretty regular Fletcher-class destroyer of the U.S. Navy. She was launched in 1942, was later commissioned, and, within a year, was already taking part in its first big mission. It was far from hard, though. William D. Porter, with a number of other ships, was a part of an escort mission following the USS Iowa, which carried President Roosevelt en route to a meeting in Tehran. You know which one. What could possibly go wrong? The first mishap happened while William D. Porter was just departing. Her anchor tore the railing and lifeboat mounts off a sister destroyer docked nearby, the USS Cogswell, or the USS Young. People didn't pay much attention to that one, but the very next day, Porter was in for yet another incident. She lost one of its depth charges, as it seemed it hadn't been secured properly, and just fell into the rough sea. That's not all. The charge exploded, causing all other escort ships to take evasive maneuvers. They, logically, assumed that the task force had come under torpedo attack. The ships were weaving along until there was a signal which came from Porter. Our mistake. Okay. After a bit of swearing, the task force was on its way once again. Some days later, at Roosevelt's request, the ships of the escort conducted some drills to demonstrate their prowess in combat. First, Iowa released a number of balloons, which were quickly shot down by gunners. Then destroyers demonstrated a torpedo drill by simulating a launch at Iowa. No one was supposed to launch actual torpedoes, but something went awry again. The ship made a beautiful turn, arrived at her position. Officers were shouting commands, and then, instead of the next command, utter silence. There was a combat torpedo cutting its way through the waves. A torpedo from William D. Porter that somehow discharged from its tube and headed towards Iowa. The people who were there would remember the next 5 minutes for the rest of their lives. Lieutenant Commander Wilfred A. Walter, who was in command of Porter, realized that he was about to torpedo his own flagship, carrying the President of the United States. He immediately ordered his crew to warn Iowa of the incoming danger. The thing was, there were strict orders to maintain radio silence. So Porter had to use a signal lamp instead. And then, perhaps because of the hurry or the inexperience of the signalman, the destroyer relayed the wrong message. Instead of saying that a torpedo was in the water, Porter efficiently informed Iowa that she was backing up. There was no time to lose. In desperation, Lieutenant Commander Walter ordered to break radio silence and finally relayed a warning message. Of course, only after Porter had been reprimanded by Iowa's radio operator for not using proper code words. And then it was time for utter silence once again. It wasn't long, though. In a few seconds, the flagship was already turning hard to avoid being hit by the torpedo that missed the battleship by that much. Roosevelt even asked his attendee to move his wheelchair to the side of the battleship so that he could see. The whole situation constituted some quality fun to him, we guess. Iowa's commander didn't find the situation funny in the slightest, though. According to legend, the flagship immediately trained her 9 main guns on William D. Porter. Clearly, there was some explaining to do. Understanding that at the time like that, clarity of communication was key. Porter instantly confirmed that, yes, it was they who launched the torpedo. As you can probably guess, that didn't do much to de-escalate the situation. Finally, Roosevelt had to intervene. He asked the incident to be over and done with. After those unfortunate events, the unlucky destroyer took part in a few campaigns and carried out many missions without any particular problems. right up until the day it was sunk by kamikazes close to Okinawa. But before that happened, all American ships meeting Porter made a point of greeting the destroyer by relaying the same message, "Don't shoot, we're Republicans." Roosevelt was a Democrat, after all.